We're Tracy and James McCoy, and this is the Fish Slap Effect podcast. Where leaders, creators, and disruptors collide. Each week, we bring you honest conversations about business, marketing, leadership, creativity, and the bold ideas that help people stand out in a noisy world. Whether you're building a brand, growing a business, or looking for fresh inspiration, you're in the right place. Let's make a splash. Welcome to episode 3 of the Fish Slap Effect podcast. I'm Tracy.
I'm James.
What do you want to talk about today?
You know, I want to talk about why you're laughing so much. I think Tracy's laughing so much because we almost borderline have the same exact shirts on, and we really didn't talk to each other. Thankfully, I had this one hanging in the closet because I did have planned on wearing that exact same iconic GFS fish shirt.
And that's what happens when, life gets busy and
you don't
trying to wear too many hats. So you don't get to talk.
And you don't talk. So anyway, I want to tell you about an experience I had. I know last time we talked about we were back from our vacation. This experience happened on our vacation. And we'll leave it up to you to help us decide to bot or not to bot. That is the question.
Yes.
So anyway, we're Disney annual pass holders. We hadn't decided if we were going to renew our passes or not. I mean, I think it's expensive with the kids and everything. And some of the experiences have been, scale of 1 to 10, maybe 5, maybe 7, et cetera, et cetera. But we went there with an open mind and kind of had a really great experience. We saw managers, supervisors on the front line leading the team, pumping up the hospitality. They had some great experientions for
character experiences.
Yeah, for the pass holders that are specifically for the pass holders. They had, if you have the Disney credit card, we're not endorsing them. We're not sponsored by them. If they want to throw us some money, we'll take it. But anywho, we have a Disney credit card that we use. And they had specific events that you could take your children to if you had the credit card, and you kind of avoided the crowd. If you're a pass holder, right, you got to go to this lounge, right, in Morocco.
Special pass holder lounge in Morocco. We got to meet Stitch.
There you go. So it was a lot of good things. So me being the crazy person that I am, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to send the CEO of Disney an email. How crazy is that? It's crazy. So Bob Iger has transitioned. He's retiring. The new CEO is Josh. I got to look his name up. Josh Delmaro. Hopefully I'm saying it right. Shout out Josh. I sent him an email. Is that crazy? Is it nuts? What do you think?
It was fine.
It was fine. Tracy thought about committing me. She's like, right. You're gonna
we're in the park and you're sending this guy an email.
But anyway, I was like, hey, you know what? We had great experience. We saw the managers leading the team, making a difference. We really appreciated all the extra value that's being added to our annual pass. And I sent him a note. So I sent him a note. Within 20 minutes, I have a phone call. And I didn't recognize the number, so obviously they're going to voicemail.
Right.
And it was the executive assistant for Walt Disney World executives thanking me for my email, saying they appreciated hearing the feedback from us, et cetera, et cetera. And then they would send us a follow-up email about the call since I didn't pick up the call. And it was signed Higgins. Interesting. So is Higgins a bot or is Higgins not a bot?
What character did you say Higgins was from?
It was from back in the day, Magnum PI. Higgins was Magnum Tom Selleck's assistant, Higgins. And he had the lads, 2 Dobermans. But he was kind of like also like a antagonist of, anyway, doesn't matter. Moving on. So they actually did send an email thanking us. Giving me this Higgins, because they didn't put a last name or a first name. They just said Higgins, and like executive correspondence for the executives of Walt Disney World, and offering their contact information to reach out to them if we needed anything during our stay or in future stays. I thought it was pretty amazing that in less than an hour, this behemoth of a company reached back out to us. So there we go.
It is. It's pretty incredible, especially nowadays. You just feel like everybody sort of blends in. And that was a really great way for Disney to try to stand out and do something a little bit different.
So, but we don't know if Higgins is he, a she, or they, or a real person, or was a bot that was triggered by an email that went into an inbox. But either way, thought it was pretty cool. It was a great way to stand out. And that is a great transition into Tracy's topic today. Tracy's driving the podcast today. It's super exciting. I'm just along for the ride. So what's our topic today, Trace?
So, in this episode of the Fish Slap Effect, we're going to talk a little bit about the sea of sameness and
Okay, I
why
need you to say that slower.
sea of
Sameness.
sameness.
Got it. Got it.
So, when we think about that, we'll use a fun little analogy for Get Fish Slap. There's all these fish in the sea, and they all might be swimming in one direction. Are we going to follow all the fish and swim in the same direction, or are we going to stand out a little bit and try to swim in another direction?
Because
And maybe
only a dead fish goes with the flow.
there you go.
Boom.
That is a good one.
You're welcome.
So that's a big piece of what we wanted to talk about today, because in the world that we're living in now, it's a very competitive marketplace, regardless of the industry that you're in. And there are so many tools that are out there to help you do your jobs better and more efficiently and everything else. But people kind of blend in and they don't always stand out. So, we really wanted to talk a lot about creating memorable experiences that speak a little bit louder than everybody else's, and how do we stand out in a really crowded space. So when we think about that, a lot of it comes back to, again, with the sea of sameness, like how do you differentiate yourself and help your business stand out and help you stand out as an expert in your field. When you think about it, like, I don't know, what are some terms that you're used to hearing when you think about, like, if someone were to talk about a marketing agency, like what do people typically say?
Results driven.
We're results driven, or we're data focused, or we're full service. But, like, what does that really mean? We'll say we're a full service agency, but always try to explain what that means, because that means different things to different agencies. Some agencies say we're full service and we're full service. We manage your social media, and that's full service to us because it's a full service social
That's all
media
they do,
agency,
yeah.
and that's all they do. But us, on the other hand, we're a full service agency that takes care of everything from design to web to advertising to
Data.
social data, all the things. So we try to leverage that and talk more specifically about what that means. But, you think about, like, a dentist, they're going to say we have a caring team. We use state of the art technology, very common threads throughout different dental practices. And real estate agents, they might talk about being a local expert, or that they're trusted, they're experienced. Well, that's great and everything. But how are you different? And I think, like, what do you think how do you differentiate yourself now? Like, what do you feel like, how do we help our clients do that? And, how do we help ourselves stand out in
I
a,
think
in a
it's a
crowded
fine
sea?
line too, though, because like from a content perspective, everybody wants to be on trend or do something trendy. Like if it's the such and such challenge, or if it's the so and so sound, they want to do that to be part of the trend that's going on. But it's a fine line between doing that and then just getting lost in the algorithm of all the other things.
Like the big dumb cup,
Exactly.
or the big dumb hats.
Exactly.
Little reference to SNL. If you haven't seen it, go back a few years.
Shout out SNL.
Pretty fun.
Awesome. So I think, and especially now with all the tools that are out there, this isn't a commercial for a marketing agency versus not a marketing agency, but with all the tools out there, it's very easy to go, oh, company A is using a chatbot to create their graphics. I'm going to make mine look exactly like theirs.
Yes. And, when we think about that, and you think about how do you want to look at and kind of one of the old rules of thumbs, right, is look at where you want to go, like look at your competitors, look at who you aspire to be, and then, try to come up with a way to replicate that in a way, to help replicate what was successful and make it your own, and those are ways that people can brainstorm and things like that. Over the years, like think about before we had smartphones that took photos. Like the iPhones come a long way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, non-iPhone users, I don't know about those phones as much, but I also know that those cameras have come a long way.
Yeah.
And I can remember the days when phones did not take photos, and you had to be really well trained on cameras to take really good photos. I also remember the days when there was no preview on cameras,
Yeah.
and you just were hoping, right? So when we think back and we go back a couple of decades, we think about websites being your standout moment. People were getting like these really cool custom sites done. They were tens of thousands of dollars, really expensive. You had to have like really precise knowledge on coding to get a website, right? And then you had these really cool websites that helped your business stand out. And then being active on social media, having a really good Facebook presence was a huge thing. And then it moved over to Facebook and Instagram, and then dropping in TikTok a little bit and Snapchat and all the things. And what are you doing? And having great photos and really crisp, beautiful pictures, especially with Instagram when that first came about. That was huge, like beautiful photos and being able to take photos at different angles. And then it was like videos and how can your videos stand out? We want these perfectly polished videos. And, now my videos can stand out because I'm really talented videographer. Well, then now we think about it and we have Canva that makes editing a breeze. We have Canva that'll allow you to create really great looking graphics. You can even edit video. You have CapCut that you can do video edits in, Instagram edits. I mean, the list goes on.
And it's accepted not to be perfect.
Right.
It needs to be real.
So the
REAL, not EELZ.
There you go. So when we think about it, like years ago, those were things that helped you stand out. Now it's like the price of entry. You have to have a website. You need to be active on social media. Your photos can't be blurry. They need to look crisp. You've got to have good video. And that's kind of where everybody is now, because there's tools out there that someone who maybe isn't as experienced and doesn't have all the training and all of the equipment can create a really nice looking video. It might not be at the same level, as somebody who has really great equipment, is technically trained and super experienced. However, it's enough to get yourself out there and put yourself out there. So with that comes like now that the playing field is level, how do you help yourself stand out? Like, what do you do for your business to kind of stand out amongst all the other fish in the sea? Because now with the introduction of, think about all the chat graphics that you see and everything else, where a lot of them look the same. And now you're just starting to blend in because everybody's kind of at this level playing field now, and we're all starting to blend. So like, how do we try to step out of that and not blend in?
Well, it's like you kind of chatted earlier about your like best practices, i.e. the social website, Google, et cetera, those get you in the game, but they don't help you win the game. And I think it's important to avoid the sea of sameness, is to be confident in your brand. Maybe you need to think about, do I have a brand? What is my brand? I can think of one of our clients that we recently started working with maybe 6 months ago, and they're like, we want to be known as the people you go to see to keep yourself working, i.e. the local farmer, the local mechanic, the local truck driver, whatever the case. They wanted to be known as, that's what they literally knew what they wanted to be known as, but they didn't know how to say it. So that's why they hired us, which is great. Not a commercial, just telling a story. And so when we're talking about that sea of sameness, i.e. I'm following the trend, i.e. I'm doing a chat or a bot driven graphic that might not fit my voice or might not fit my brand, but I'm doing it because everybody else is doing it, you're kind of going to get lost instead of being confident in your brand. Like, whether we were busy or whether we were slow, we were always get fish slap. We were always marketing that makes a splash. We always had 3 fish until we got a 4th fish. Now we have a 4th fish, et cetera, et cetera. And you can kind of see it. I know I kind of goofed on our shirts, but it's just like with our shirts right now. It's the same color. It's the same kind of brand voice, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you look at our content, we will follow the trends. Sometimes we're a little behind because thankfully we're so busy, but we'll follow the trends, but we'll also make sure that we do fish slap like twists or impressions of the trend.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's all these things are great in regards to, it's like the old saying, everything's great in moderation. So in other words, like if you become so dependent on 100%, I'm just talking about content right now, 100% of AI generated imagery for your content, you're going to lose something. Because especially in our local area, and I can't really speak for anywhere else because I live here, people always want to see who they do business with. and they want to see the person who's running the business. I think that makes a huge impact.
Well, and I had a call with a potential new client yesterday, and we were talking about just that. And he goes, nobody cares that we have sold over 1 million of this and that we have this many clients and everything else. They care who I am and who they're going to do business with. And that's what's been important for me in my business. Nobody's really cared about all these stats of the bigger corporate. It's a franchise and the bigger piece of the franchise, but it's more about who the person is behind that is who they're dealing with. So that speaks volumes, to that. It's really more about, who you're dealing with and real authentic people. And when we think about, like all these tools that we have now, AI didn't create all this sameness. It just made it happen faster. It scaled it. So we went from, you know, Canva when it first rolled out to everything, people using all these templates that kind of look the same, to now you're on chat, you can do something in like 30 seconds and everybody's flyers look exactly the same with the same little heart and the same little section for the information and same icons, just different information in different colors. But it can do so much more than that. So it's really interesting because AI's made creating content so much easier and so much faster and so much more successful, or excuse me, accessible, but everybody has access to the same tools. So how do we then go about differentiating ourselves and making sure that we're not saying the same things as our competitors and everything looks exactly the
Well,
same?
in defense of AI, dun, 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 I've
Dun,
come
dun,
to
dun.
defend the bots. Um, a couple of different things, like, the quote, everybody uses on LinkedIn, that you put on our little sheet that keeps us on track here in today's fast-paced world.
Here are
Et
5
cetera,
tips.
et cetera, et cetera. But you can take that same, say, go into your chat bot and say, hey, give me 6 other ways to say in today's fast-paced world. And then you can kind of, or don't make it, you can just have some fun. I like to have fun sometimes on the bots that I use, on the chats I use, and I tell it not to make it sound like it's from Chat GPT, and it's like, I don't know how to do that, but it's kind of fun to do that. And I like what you put on here. You said that AI can make you look professional. It can, but it doesn't make you interesting. And sometimes, whether it's a personality or something about your business, like your key differentiator, what makes you different from everybody else. Like, for example, with us, husband and wife own business. There's a lot of husband and wife owned businesses, used to be operators, now we're in marketing, et cetera, et cetera. Those are some of our, we can see both sides of the coin. We've been on your side of the table plus our side of the table. So those are our key differentiators that we can lean into when we're creating content, or if we're doing blog posts, or if we're doing things on our website, et cetera, et cetera. So different beats better.
Yeah, so when we think about that and we're like, how are we going to be different? Some of the brands you think about, I know Buc-ee's is one of them
Yeah.
that is definitely different,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And when they started popping up in Florida, everybody was so excited. We're
Mhm.
like, "Oh my God, are you going to stop at Buc-ee's on your drive out of state?" Or
Boosie's, I'm going to Boosie's. It was a
"Woohoo,
trend on
yeah,
TikTok.
all the things," right? So they really help themselves stand out. Could you stop at another type of gas station and get gas? Of course you can, but you get the whole experience when you
Well,
stop
they
at
they
Buc-ee's.
leaned into it too. World's cleanest bathrooms, or whatever they say.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, instead of, you know, billboard A, gas is 359, 399, whatever,
450.
whatever,
Yeah.
or we full service rest area, et cetera, et cetera. They leaned into their little icon. They leaned into clean bathrooms, et cetera, et cetera. But then they pull it through when you get there as well.
Oh, yeah. So they have a really cool experience and they're capturing your attention. They create personality and they could, I'm sure, I feel like any business that's being successful right now is using some form of AI to help them speed things up. We certainly are. But there are ways to use it to help leverage your business and make you successful versus creating this just, it's just frustrating to see
Yeah,
all the
no, I
same
hear you.
things because people.
Get off AI's back for a
No,
minute. Come
it's not.
on.
It's not AI's fault because bad in is bad out.
Yeah,
And when you
agreed.
really think about it, when you put all this hard work into building a brand, you know a lot about your brand and you can explain that to AI. Think about it
Hmm.
like your best assistant you've ever had because you're going
What's
to
yours name? Did you name your assistant?
I
No.
did. I did name my
You
assistant,
can't
and
remember it?
I can't
It's
remember
like
her
some
name.
fairy name or
Yeah,
something?
it was like something really funny, and now I'm blanking
Alright, it
on what I
doesn't
named
matter.
her. But
But
I
I
did.
can't believe you actually put under Buc-ee's here, you put Liquid Death. They did. They put water in a can. They came up
Yeah,
with some cool names, some cool graphics. It's definitely a conversation starter, et cetera, et cetera.
it stands out, so it's
And
definitely.
they are authentically themselves, that's for sure.
And that's what really helps you stand out, is like creating a brand that can become memorable and having some personality behind it, and not just being the perfect photos and the beautiful pictures and the perfectly styled videos. It's creating some authenticity and being yourself. And I think that's what really helps people stand out in a crowded space. Businesses stand out is when you can be authentically you without fear of being judged. You're just like, I'm just gonna be myself, and that's who we are. And if our values align, great. And if they don't, that's okay too, because there's other agencies out there that can do a great job for you if we're
Mhm.
not the right fit. And I think that it's good for brands to authentically be themselves, to draw in their ideal customers as well.
Okay. So, is there ever opportunity, or is there ever a world that you can live in where you can just sprinkle in a little AI, a little bot, a little
Oh yeah.
okay, well
Of
no,
course.
you've
I'm not, so please don't
no,
get me
no.
wrong. I'm not saying don't use it.
Ah,
I'm saying what I don't like about it are all of the same exact AI flyers and
okay.
faces. It drives me
So
up a wall.
so
It's
I'm
my
gonna
pet peeve.
okay. Pet
That's
peeve
it.
aside, give me some ways to differentiate businesses, and how can they differentiate themselves?
So you can have a different story, like you
Yeah.
had talked about. We're a husband and wife team.
Mhm.
We started the business
4th
at our.
generation, whatever.
Yeah, so there's some family-owned businesses, like, they've been around, 40 years, they've been around 80 years, it's the 4th generation family that's running the business. Other businesses, like, maybe you wear really funny socks and that's your stick. That's kind of the thing, right? Or it's a goofy bow tie, or,
Tell
you're
your story.
you
Tell a
tell your
different story.
story. So you're standing out a little bit. If everybody does the same thing and we all are the exact same job, if there's 5 bankers standing right in front of you from different banks, what makes each one of them different? Why are you gravitate to one banker versus another? Why would you gravitate to one financial advisor versus another? Maybe their personality aligns a little bit more with you, and that's built trust, and there's some authenticity there. So, when you think about your story, like, what will people remember when they think about your business?
Yeah, and experiences. I mean, I know it's an oldie but a goodie, but I can remember when Moe's Quick Casual
Hmm.
restaurants, and they were
Welcome to
welcome to
Moe's.
Moe's. As soon as the door swung open, everybody
Mhm.
yelled, "Welcome to Moe's!" And you're like, "Oh, what's going on here?" But it was a great, memorable experience. I don't know how many years ago. It was like a decade or more. But you don't have to be that overtly over the top. But for example, if people see it on your social, or they experience it on your website, and then they show up at your business and it's not happening, you know,
It's totally different.
totally
It's
different. So you
it's the
definitely want
corporate
to,
vanilla, right? That
yeah,
that's like sprinkled everywhere. Everybody's just kind of like blank. And that's kind of what I feel like these AI flyers do. They create that corporate vanilla where everything, it looks good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not like it looks bad. It just all looks the same.
you got to look close though, because sometimes they'll create a third arm or a fourth
Oh
eye
yeah,
or whatever the
that's
case may
when
be.
I've had a lot of fun with some of the different challenges, and they'll give me like an extra arm. I'm like, okay, thanks for the eighth finger or something strange. Like, that's odd, but I love all things. Chat GPT is my best friend, so I feel like there's really great ways that you can use it to enhance your business and help
As
yourself
long as you
stand
stay
out.
authentically yourself
Yes,
to
it's
your
all
brand.
100% staying on brand. And like you had said, people remember experiences more than products. And the way that we follow up with people, we talked about how, like, our follow up and follow through is, one of our best qualities,
Yeah,
and how we make sure that we stay in contact with our clients and we have great communication. That's something that people are going to remember about the experience working with us, is that we were great communicators, we helped them get results, and that we kept them informed along the way. So we don't just drop off the face of the earth and, thanks for your money, have a nice day.
got it.
When someone walks into Moe's and they hear you say, "Welcome to Moe's," you remember that
I don't
and
know if
you
they
go
do that
back.
anymore. We'll have to find
I
out
don't know. Yeah, we'll have to go check out a
for
Moe's.
sure.
But it's
So,
what kind of unexpected experience can you create? Can your business create when you come in that's going to make people remember when they came for a visit?
mhm, and you're authentically yourself.
100%. And I mean, even thinking about like business to business types of companies or, more professional services, when people walk in, are you creating a warm and welcoming environment, or are they just walking into someone staring down at their computer and not looking up? Those are all things that create experiences that are part of your brand. When you think about marketing, you don't always think about customer experience at the same time, but you can market something to death. But if you don't provide a great customer experience when you have the opportunity and you have the captive audience, then all that marketing just was a waste.
So let's put a little bow around things, shall we?
Sure.
So authentically be yourself, stay true to your brand, mix in some little AI-ish bot
Yes.
stuff to kind of keep you going. It's okay to follow a trend, but be true to your brand.
Yeah, the future isn't humans versus AI. I think the future is humans plus AI. And how do we use it well to create powerful input with our unique perspectives?
So let's go back to the beginning of the pod. So I'm gonna warn executive producer Jess. I'm gonna scratch my nose. I'm gonna have a drink, and I'm gonna ask you your opinion. So Higgins from Disney, who called me and sent me an email, real person or bot? What do you think, Jess? Bot? Oh, crushes me. Trace, what do you think?
Same. I was so impressed, but I'm like, I don't know.
But it didn't sound bot-like. It sounded like a real person.
Well, there are chats out there now that are, but it's really hard to tell because there are also companies out there right now that are human call centers that are specific for this type of thing. I would imagine Disney could pull something like that off.
Well,
they've
got Walt frozen under Disney World.
Do they really?
No, it's just an urban legend. And there's supposedly a jail under Disney World. Haven't seen it.
Thank goodness you haven't seen it.
Thank goodness. I'm a good boy.
Thank goodness.
So you said bot.
I'm like,
Jess said bot. I'm going to believe in the magic. I'm going to believe in the pixie dust. Thank you very much. But I am concerned. I thought it was kind of cool, like to only be known by one name.
I know. I think we should all
Higgins,
try that around the office. Just go to one name.
No, we already are, kind of, so to speak.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, I think just some things to leave you with, or maybe to think about. Think about your industry and what does everyone in your industry say? What do we say that sounds exactly the same? What do you think that your competitors don't talk about that you could? And if our logo disappeared, would it still make people recognize us? That's kind of an interesting question.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't quite get that one, but
think about your fonts, your colors, all the other pieces of your brand.
I think I'd like to take what you just said and twist it. I would like to say if all the verbiage went away and your logo was just there.
That's a good one.
Because think about some iconic logos like the Golden Arches, the Nike swoosh, the iconic fish slap, where I don't have one on my shirt. The iconic fish slap fish. Everybody kind of knows that's who we are.
Yes.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So, I think a final thought would be, how are we using
final thought?
Final thought. How are we using AI to amplify our brand instead of replacing it? Businesses aren't struggling because there are too many competitors. They're struggling because too many competitors look exactly the same. The first C of sameness was created by businesses copying each other.
Yep.
The second C of sameness is created by businesses using the same AI tools, the same prompts, and publishing the same ideas. The brands that will win will be the loudest.
Don't reinvent the wheel.
Yes.
But improve the wheel.
Yes. Improve the wheel.
There you go.
And swim in a different direction. Stand out. That's what I think.
Cool. Well, hey, Tracy's first time driving the podcast. Let's hear it for her.
Woo! I hope it was okay.
Hopefully
hope
she'll
you
continue
enjoyed.
to drive the podcast and I can continue to be the camera candy. You never know. But hey, hopefully you'll like, you'll comment, you'll share, you'll subscribe so you can hear what's going on, see what's going to come up with next. Who knows?
Who knows?
To bot or not to bot? That is the question. We'll see you next episode. Keep on making a splash.